Hello and welcome to the inter-regional section of the Great Debaters Contest. I am your host, Austin Nyambok.
And I am Mariam Bishar.
Is military intervention the only way we can achieve global peace?
And with this motion, we will be seeing Tala Girls and Mumbi Girls. The ladies from Mumbi are here for the first time and they have made it this far and they do not intend to stop. Their opponents, on the other hand, say they're here to do what must be done.
The motion this week is military intervention is the only way to achieve global peace. Proposing the motion, Tala Girls High School. Opposing the motion, Mumbi Girls High School. Each contestant has 3 minutes to make their submissions. The audience also gets a chance to put their questions to each team. Each side will have an additional 1 minute to make a final statement. The judge's decision is final. The winning school will get an ICT chill-out zone with the widescreen TV, computers, webcams, and internet connection. The teacher from the winning school gets 100,000 shillings courtesy of Chase Bank. The winning students each get a tablet courtesy of Safaricom, a gift hamper from Unilever, and a gift hamper from mimi.co.ke. And together they all win the title, The Great Debaters. May the best school win.
Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes.
My name, Betty Monde, Tala Girls High School, and I'm here to propose the motion that says military intervention is the only way to achieve global peace. May I start by defining this topic? What is military intervention? This is the deliberate act of nation or group of nations to introduce its military forces into the causes of existing and controversy in different countries. Let me give you a very good example. We also have countries that have been going through very difficult situation due to various reasons. We also have whereby military intervention can potentially save hundreds, thousands, and millions of people in a country or countries. This is a good example whereby we have the country of Angola. After its attaining independence, through pain, death, losing your loved ones, there was military force sent to their countries whereby the damage was able to be solved. And the country which came up with the NATO, this is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, had to intervene and stop the death of the suffering people. Let me tell you one thing. My own father went to Somalia. And it was giving me that courage whereby he had to hide in the toilets, in the bathroom. But at the end of it all, he was able to come back home safely, simply because there was military forces in those countries whereby he was able to save his own life. I am a living testimony, and that's why I'm proposing this motion, that military forces should be sent to these countries, for it is saving not only one, but millions of people. Take a case whereby we have Mali and French, whereby the French country was able to save them. And as we talk, Mali is far better off. They are at peace, far better off from the way they are. Take a case whereby we had 49,000 people killed in Nagasaki and 78 people killed in Hiroshima. What about if there was a military force sent to these countries and they will be able to be saved? How many people would have lived? Do you know how much we really love these people? They are our own people, they are your brothers, they are your sisters. And that's why we're insisting that any country which is at a point of losing its own value, we really need these forces to go to these countries and save these brothers and our sisters, our mothers and even our fathers out there. For we are greater people and we deserve to be able to create peace among us and even our neighbors. And that's why I am proposing this motion strongly.
First opposer, you have 3 minutes to give your opening statements.
Ladies and gentlemen, Catherine Gitao is by name from Mumbi Girls High School. I'm here to oppose the motion that states military intervention is the only way to achieve global peace. What is military intervention? This is the use of force, armed forces for that matter, to remedy a situation that is a threat to the peace of a nation, a continent, and the whole globe. But let me ask you a question. Since when did war become a solution to another conflict? I've never heard of that. Maybe you have, but for me, I have never heard of that. In 1984, there was Wagala massacre in Kenya. There was military intervention, we don't deny. There was piling of many bodies, piling of corpses, costed as lives of people. We lost lives that right now probably could be productive. Maybe if they had tried another way, like dialogue, conferences, they would have brought a solution without costing the lives of human beings. You can imagine to the parents there was a victim that became a deceased out of such a massacre. In 1992, military, when Saddam Hussein was the president of Iraq, they tried to invade Iran. Actually, they were claiming it to be their territory. Americans, they came, intervened militarily. They might have helped them, but do you know it cost them $30 billion, an outstanding date to now. That kind of a date, it's costing the economy of the whole America. The citizens, they have to pay one or the other. For example, if we Kenya get a loan from another country, it costs all citizens, not just the government. It also brings a spirit of vengeance. We're aware of what is happening in our Kenya. Right now, I'm a member. I come from Mombasa, but I can't travel in peace because I'm afraid of terrorism. I don't know what can happen next, just because Kenya Defense Force went beyond our borders in the aim of bringing peace. But that triggered Al-Shabaab. They're now hitting back to our nation. All of us are living in fear. Right now, not only in Mombasa, not only in Garissa, but just the other day, to Wangidurai. Next time, I come from Murang'a, that is where my school is. I'm afraid we made the next hit. For me, I'm still against military intervention. That's not a way to go about it. Thank you.
We'll now hear rebuttals from both teams. We begin with the proposers. You have 3 minutes.
I am Irene Katungwa from Tala Girls High School, and I'm here to propose this motion. You've said that they use a lot of force, but you have to note that it is not only force that is used by the militants. These militants are also trained doctors who are able to treat casualties who have been hurt when there is a cause of terror, and there's also a lot of unrest in these countries, whereby hence we cannot come here and claim that the militants are here just to use force. They're here to protect the civilians who are innocent, who are not harmed, and really need protection. And due to this, these militants can be able to protect them, can be able to provide unto them, and into the refugee camps, that's what they are used for. They're able to be kept in refugee camps, and they are protected. And hence they're also given medical care, and they're also given relief food. Also, you have said that the fight of Iraq against Kuwait, it costed them 30 billion. Now, let's take, for instance, what is more important here? Saving the lives of innocent civilians, or us thinking about these billions and billions of money that we're going to spend while trying to save these people. These people, when we save them, they become more and more productive later. And hence, we should not be thinking about how much we spend while trying to save these people, while applying our militant force on these people and trying to save them, to bring peace in these regions. But we should be thinking about the amount of, how many lives we are going to be able to save. because as a result of that, as a result of the Americans intervening, we find that there was a success, and Kuwait remained on its own, and Iraq did not win this fight of trying to take Kuwait and make it one of their 8 provinces. We should also note that the militants, for military intervention to come by, other means of peacekeeping mostly have failed. Let's take, for instance, whereby we have the Riek Machar and the Salva Kiir. They went into talks, and they went into an agreement to try to forge peace between these two people, between these two countries. Only later for Riek Machar to say that he was forced. He was forced to agree on the terms, and yet this did not help at all because there were still wrangles which were continuing at the whole place. We also have, whereby in Mali, there was military intervention, and you can be able to see Mali is really a very respectable country as we talk. They're at peace, and we don't have to wait for all this to be happening. I'm going to leave you with this. When you have to say that the only way to bring peace, when you want to go to war, you also have to be prepared to have war. This is a famous quotation by Ludwig Rebman. Thank you.
We'll now hear from the opposing team. You have 3 minutes to give a rebuttal.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tala Girls from Mumbi Girls High School. I'll start by saying the 1441 UN Charter clearly states that the UN cannot militarily solve problem, but they embrace the army for security purposes. Let me ask you a question. When 3-year-old twins were fighting, their 8-year-old brother came to stop the fight. But what did this brother do? He broke the twins apart, beat the both of them, and then told them, "Let me not find you fighting." The following day, they were fighting again, and the mother found them fighting. The mother took the children away and sat them down and told them, "My sons, you should know you are of the same flesh and blood, and the moment you start fighting right now, you will never prosper in future, for when brothers fight, there's no prosperity." And I'd like to counter by asking them, so you claim that what the 8-year-old brother did was correct, or was it what the mother did that was right? You're saying that in Angola there was French intervention, but we also know, in Mali, but we also know that the Mali people were in their streets protesting for the intervention of the French. We also know that Sierra Leone was amongst the countries that were protesting. Why, after gaining our independence, do we have to have the people from France meddling in our problems? The moment you militarily deploy people from a certain place to go and solve the conflict, you're creating another conflict, you are creating bad blood. We saw that Gaddafi was overthrown and the military was running the country. How many bodies have we piled as of now? How many people have died? And I'm really glad that your father made it out of Somalia safely, but your father was amongst the lucky few. How many died? How many children lost their fathers? How many children lost their mothers? It's really hurting to know that there are people here who are claiming that the military helps. The military uses force. Let me ask you, if you walk down the streets of Nairobi, can you point that this one is Al-Shabaab, this one is not an Al-Shabaab? You cannot. And the moment that the military is there in Somalia, we have fear of the military. People say it is silent respect. It is not. It is fear. And a man who's afraid of the military, he'll see a man in that combat uniform and start running, will mistake that he's an Al-Shabaab, and the officer will shoot, and that is a child who has lost his father. The military does not solve any problem. We also have Egypt, which undergo the same thing. They have piled a lot of bodies. There's no way the military can enforce global peace. That is why I, Tekla Wanjiru, strongly oppose the motion that says military intervention is the cause of global peace.
I'm Cynthia Kawira from St. Angela's, and to Tala Girls, I'd like to pose a question. Would you rather see blood flowing like a river than just be like Kofi Annan and settle something by advice? Thank you.
I'm Mohamed Abdullahi from Light Academy again. My question goes to the proposers. The second speaker, you understand what military intervention is? Iraq invading Kuwait, you term it as a military intervention? Please clarify on that.
My name is Rhoda Urgur from Mary Hill Girls High School. My question is once again to the opposing side. You gave us the example of the mother and the boy, but could you please clearly stipulate the other methods of achieving global peace other than military intervention? Thank you.
I am Gate Kareithi Narumoru, and I want to pose a question to the opposers. The Second World War was stopped by bombing of Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And before the war was stopped, everything was tried, making of treaties, dialogue, all those methods of trying to reinforce peace were applied. So can the opposers please give us any solution that those leaders would have considered after dialogue, treaties, after all those methods of trying to keep peace having failed?
The third proposer, please take the stage.
Jennifer Ngui, Tala Girls. Okay, I would like to say this and stand here to strongly propose that we need those military interventions. Why? Let me tell you, people die and more people are born. So, do we have to keep on waiting for more people to die so that we can start our negotiations and peace? My fellow learned friends said that Kofi Annan came in, but by the time Kofi Annan came in, how many people had died? If a military had come in, they would have curbed that and more deaths would have been prevented. Okay, let me tell you one more thing. For the point about the mother and the son who were fighting, what propelled the peace negotiation? It is that caning that propelled that negotiation. In most cases, you see, like in Eritrea, the issue about Kuwait, Eritrea being claimed as the 8th province of Kuwait, they had, and the UN, helped by the American government, had to go there with their militants so that they could fight those people trying to invade there. So, I strongly think that these military interventions should be taken. And by the way, who said that when the militants come in, they only come to fight? There are different methods for those militants that they use to prevent they use to prevent those disagreements between people, between communities, and between even different parties. An example, in Israel, back in the year 2008, there was some disagreements taking place there in Gaza Strip. The militants went there. To some point they fought. We agreed they fought. But that prevented many people dying. Do you know that when these militants come into a country to assist there, they avoid the next or the future governments coming in from running their governments the same way the previous ones ran it? So, let me just say, we need these military interventions to bring peace. And not that they don't have to kill people, they only have to help people. Thank you.
We'll now get the opposing team respond to the audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, Victorian jockey, Mumbi Girls High School. Of course, here to oppose the motion that military intervention is the only way to achieve global peace. Allow me to fill in the gaps of your curiosity. One of you beloved congregation asked us to give you any other solution to all this chaos happening in the world. Yes, there are other solutions apart from military intervention, e.g. the power sharing. Let's look at our Kenya. In 2007, there were clashes, and after mediation, our former president, the Honorable Mwai Kibaki, and Raila Odinga, they decided to share power into Kenya. And during their reign, Kenya was marked by prosperity. It grew, it prospered, and you see, no more blood was shed after the mediation process. And the other question, you asked us to grant you any solution, yeah. Let us take a look at Sudan right now. If they do take the example of Kenya, and these two people, Riek Machar and Salva Kiir, decide to share power in Sudan, do you think there will be any more bloodshed there? Do you think those tribes will continue fighting? Do you think they'll continue causing chaos and ruin in the country? No, there won't be any more of that. And allow me to continue opposing the motion. Let us look at the World War II. What ended it? The bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yes, it did end the war, but what were the effects? Those people in Japan and the neighborhood are still feeling the effects of that bomb up to today. When you look at their physical features, they have been affected by that bomb that was thrown decades and decades ago. And up to today, the effect is still there. Why don't we look at Kenya? When there was violence, what happened? Yes, blood was shed, and the mediator, Kofi Annan, was brought in. They mediated the process, they decided to make up, and peace continued reigning in our country. But what if they had brought the military in? Yes, by the time he came in, there had already been a lot of deaths. But what if the military had been brought in? There would have been more and more and more deaths. Since if there are rebellious people in the country, bring military, they will continue, you will just provoke them more into action. But try to speak to them. Speak to their hearts. Make them see their folly. And they will look back and say, yes, we are not doing the right thing. And that will bring a situation whereby there is peace in the country. Also, why don't you see? So here, with all those, I strongly and clearly oppose this motion. Military intervention is the only way to achieve global peace. It is not the only way. There is mediation, negotiation, and mass education. Thank you.
We'll now get closing statements from the proposers. You have a minute.
Once again, Betty Mon, the Tala Girls High School. I'd like to say that call to action is call to activeness. Let me remind you one thing, that we need fathers, we need mothers. And it is through my father that we are able to continue having siblings and generations going on. So those many people that you're saying are killed, why couldn't we prevent it? We need to stand strong. We need to curb all this. We need to invade these military forces in these different countries to enable generations to grow by generation. It is through this father of mine that I'm able to have a sibling, a brother, and it is through that father and it is through that mother in that country or in these different countries that we are able to succeed and to carry on as a nation. We need these military forces in our countries. Bet you me right. They really help. They come in with medication. They give relief food. Do you only think about war? And to my opposers, please, it's not only about talking, giving facts, reality. Thank you.
The opposers, you also have a minute to give us your final argument.
Greetings once again. Catherine Gitau is back here, justifying her stand why she's opposing the motion that state military intervention is the only way left, actually the only way to achieve global peace. For instance, if I get to an argument with my fellow student back in school, if I'm wise enough, very smart here, I won't go fighting. I will use a better method to at least regain peace, reclaim peace back. That is what needs to be done. Instead of inviting military, you won't tell me that military are there to help us with food, to give us medication. We have doctors. Our doctors have not failed. They are still working. It is not the doctors who are protesting, but just we are trying to bring peace. Peace to stabilize our nations, to stabilize our economy, to stabilize our continents. Conferences, dialogues are the way. Military intervention, we just end up to piling of bodies, which is bad news. Thank you.
Mumbi, Catherine Gitao, you made me smile, let me say that. You have a style of presentation that I can't get a word to use. However, I think you're very confident. Just check on a little bit on your words. You know, when you say bodies, I don't know whether you mean friends. I was corrected, it was actually bodies that you meant, you know, those kind of things. Just a little bit, yeah. Tekla Wanjiru, I mean, you're very composed. You deliver your submissions very well and passionately. Good use of examples. And I think what was a plus for me was your cross-examination. You're very safe when cross-examining Betty's examples, especially when it was a very personalized one. You come in very well, first of all, acknowledging it was good for the father to be safe, but you still cross-examine that in a very safe way and say, what about the others who did not make it? And for me, that was a big plus. I mean, you make a commendable team member. Muruthi, Victoria, very few words, very good, very strong. And I think from your name, Muruthi, Victoria, you're a winning lion. All the best to the two teams.
Tala Girls, the three of you, I wish to commend you for some good debate. Betty, your words carry your heart. And that is the most important thing. Beside that, you need nonetheless the burden of proof. I wish you could raise more issues within the 3 minutes that you had. Nonetheless, you did well. Irene, the rebuttal, you're a good speaker. Jennifer, you have good nonverbal stimuli. Nonetheless, the content and the thought and the flow of thought do not accompany the nonverbal stimuli. So kindly, combine the two and you'll make a great speaker. When I look at you, when you start talking, your face, your voice projection, your stress, it's correct. But the content is a bit lean. The two teams, you're both strong.
An interesting motion, military intervention is the only way to achieve global peace. And, the proposers, were of the opinion that this is the only thing that works. I like the fact that they were very passionate about it. And if you have done your reading, you know that military intervention is usually the last resort. When everything else has failed, when dialogue has failed, when, peaceful interventions and peace talks have failed, that is when a military intervention comes in. But I also love the fact that Mumbi Girls came on very strongly and were very passionate that it is not the only way, that there are other ways in which we can resolve this conflict. But since we know that peace talks and all these other things have not worked, then what is it that can actually work? I think I just loved the two teams. All the best.
Tala Girls had 68.4. Please give them a hand. And Mumbi Girls had 69%. Just a 0.6 margin, so I think that tells you a bit of what they did on stage.
Well, as you can see, girl power is not just a word, but I believe it's becoming a movement. And so, from all of us here at the Great Debaters Contest, thank you for watching. I am your host, Austin Nyambok.
I am Mariam Bishar. We'll see you next time.
The winning school will get an ICT chill-out zone with the widescreen TV, computers, webcams, and internet connection. The teacher from the winning school gets 100,000 shillings courtesy of Chase Bank. The winning students each get a tablet courtesy of Safaricom, a gift hamper from Unilever, and a gift hamper from mimi.co.ke. And together, they all win the title, The Great Debaters. May the best school win.